I was born in Mississippi, the metropolis of Waxhaw, Mississippi. For the sake of WHA, WAXHAW, one word, Waxhaw, Mississippi. The youngest of 10 kids, so I played the youngest child role for as long as I could, which weren't that long. Um, we were in having big families. My most of my sisters and brothers had big families and what have you. So the thing about being in a big family is the fact that there's a lot of things going on in that one household. You know, like tonight we'll do things, and we had our own show happening there. My mother was a singer. My father, his nickname was Sing. Never heard, well, I heard him sing Rock Island Line, which was one of his favorite songs, but I didn't know, never heard him sing that much. But that was his nick. He was famous for that name. Um, my mother, uh, two sisters played piano and sang. And brothers that was doing some singing. So it was always something going on that you could really get off into. Speaking of big family, that was my great grandson. Okay,
Wow.
I got him covered. But yeah, we had a lot going on in our family, and plus we had the extended part of the family. All the guys that hung with my brothers, some of them grew up like brothers, not that many, well, girls take a whole nother direction on that family thing, but there was a lot of extended brothers in that extended family, so it led to, it was always something exciting going on. We had a lot of dogs outside, which we felt that's where dogs were supposed to be at that time,
Right.
and cats on the inside. I started singing at 4. I was 4 years old. Again, we're coming back with that big family thing, and I had um, some nieces and nephews that was older than I was. So I grew up mainly, with my nieces and nephews, and they were, some of them was also my playmate. So it was pretty exciting. Had a good time. I was 11 years old when I moved to, just getting ready to turn 12 when I moved to Indiana. Again, one of my older sisters lived there. And we moved there in late 53. If you were in the South, you always felt you could do better in the North. You know, didn't always work that
Right.
way. But at that time, it was a trend. When you moved from the south to the north, here you are with, there were jobs and things available, and yeah, it was a better life, and that's what everybody felt, that once you move north, everything was going to be much different, and it was. When we moved to Indiana, we had a group called the Morning Glories. There was some other folks that was at the church that was in the group, you know. But I would, at that time, I still considered that like a family group. I didn't hit the fast lane until I joined one of the most popular groups in Muncie at that time, was a group called the Voices of Hope, you know. And I was at the store one day, and my mother had sent me to the store, and the bass singer, he was there. So I guess we had kind of slowed down a little bit. So he asked me, he said, "What are you doing?" And so, what have you. So, he said, "How would you like to sing with my group?" You know, and I said, "Well, I don't know. You have to ask my mother." I had kind of an unusual childhood because most of my life was into singing and
Right.
what have you. Uh, I would be out playing with my friends until this big car come up and say, okay, it's time to go to rehearsal.
Wow.
And I didn't like it, but I loved it, or whatever you want to say, because I did, okay, the plan is over now. Let's go sing. When I came to Chicago, I came to live with my uncle and my aunt, and I was 13, getting ready to go on 14 now, and so that was in 1956. 119 East 45th Street, you know. I was there, and my family was churchgoers, so, I mean, they couldn't wait for me to join church on Sunday. I had to go with my uncle to prayer meeting on Wednesday, and hey, he got to join church. And these are the things that my favorite pastor, A. Patterson Jackson, I still belong to that church, Liberty Baptist Church. The church was always the center of the black family. That was where your social, as well as your family and friends and what have you. Most of your best friends was most of the time members of the church and what have you. So that's how you often hear that saying, well, I grew up in this particular church or that church. Everything is centered around the church. Willie Rogers, Soul Stir, he and I went down for B.B. King's funeral, and I took him by where I was born. That church is still there, the Tree of Life Missionary Baptist Church, which we also went to school. So I'm one of the original pre-school children.
Okay.
Because I went to school with my brothers and sisters. It wasn't wasn't no babysitting at home. So I went to school at a very young age because, hey, and I was the only one I knew that was doing that. But there it is, Tree of Life Baptist Church. They built a school years later. They built a school right beside the church. Years later, the school is gone. The church is still there, and they still, even to this day, And so you can imagine, here I am, a little boy, and where I am now, that church is still there. This time, I'm singing with the D.Z. Jackson chorus, or the choir at church, which was the young people's choir, So here we go now with that experience of now I'm singing with the choir. At no time did I say this is what I want to do because this is what I was doing. I never said, well, I want to do this tomorrow because this is what I was doing today. So the thing about it, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be doing it. And saying that is that at no time did I ever stop to say, well, what do you want to do? This is what I'm doing. I had left Wonderful Records, that is, and George Lena he was saying, hey, I'm getting out of the business, And now we're moving into that other part of my life. Okay, here come these father figures in my life. George Lena was one of them. And he said, I'm selling the company, I'm getting out of the business, but I looked out for you. You're going to be all right because I got you. You're going to, Atlantic is picking up your contract.